Hey guys, let me back up a little bit here. Movie Fan 356 here, and it's officially Halloween Horror Month. I've been waiting all year to do this. I love Halloween Horror Month. I did it last year, but a lot of those reviews are gone. The video quality was just terrible on those. Uh, so, um, Halloween Horror Month has begun. If you guys don't know, if you guys didn't watch the little trailer that I kind of put together like last month or something like that, um, basically what Halloween Horror Month is, it's like Superhero September, and I didn't get to all my superhero reviews this year, so I'm going to save those for next year. But, however, it's basically the same thing. I'm taking all month reviewing horror films, and I've picked out a pretty good lineup, at least in my opinion, of good ones to reviews. There's going to be a couple stinkers in there, of course, because I have to rant on a few of them. Um, so I figured why not kick Halloween Horror Month off with probably my favorite horror movie of all time, The Shining. Uh, the Shining, the one with Jack Nicholson anyway, not the TV movie that came out. Um, the Shining is directed by Stanley Kubrick. It came out in 1980, and it's starring Jack Nicholson. What's her name in here? Shelley Duvall and Danny Lloyd. Um, and basically, the storyline of The Shining, at least this version, because this is totally different from the book, and I'll talk about that, but the storyline of The Shining is basically you got this guy named Jack Torrance, who's played by Jack Nicholson in the film. You ever notice that? Jack Nicholson likes playing characters named Jack. You have Jack Torrance in this movie, you have Jack Napier in Batman. Um, he likes playing characters named Jack. Um, but basically, it's about Jack Torrance getting this job, kind of looking over, kind of keeping an eye on the Overlook Hotel, as it's called in this movie, um, which is in Colorado for the winter season because everybody's going home and nobody stays up there during the winter. So he's basically there to kind of oversee. He's the caretaker, and yeah, so he takes his wife and his son, Shelley Duvall and Danny Lloyd, up there to live up there for a few months, and there's some crazy shit happening in here, and Danny starts seeing these twin girls and all this fucked up shit happening, and you got Shelley Duvall's character, Wendy, kind of worried about her son and her husband because slowly her husband he's basically getting cabin fever and he's going nuts slowly and slowly, day by day, he's getting more and more crazier. And that's basically the plot of the movie. Now, what I think of The Shining is I love this movie. Like I said, it's probably my favorite horror film of all time. Yes, of course, Halloween is a classic, and it's up there, actually. It's probably my number two favorite horror film, but I'll talk about that a little bit later on this month, the Halloween series. And, but yeah, this is probably at number one, and I saw this movie as a kid. I remember bits and pieces of it as a younger child, and I got older and I sat and watched the whole thing, and holy shit, this is fucking creepy. I mean, there's not a lot of jump scares in this movie or anything like that, but the thing that it does to your mind, that's scary. What it does here. Let's talk about the performances, by the way. Jack Nicholson, might as well start it off with him. Jack Nicholson as Jack Torrance, probably his best performance in history, at least in my opinion. It's definitely my favorite Jack Nicholson performance. I think this is his best one. You can see that he's a father who kind of who he cares about his family in the beginning of the film. He cares about his family. You can see that, but he also really cares about this job because while he's looking over this hotel, he's also a writer, and he would just he's like, okay, this is a good opportunity for me to just sit down and write something good, and yeah, and then as the movie goes on, you can see him kind of going crazier and crazier, and for some reason, I still kind of feel for the guy. It's cabin fever. I mean, there's really not much to do there. Sure, you're in this nice hotel, but it's empty. I mean, you don't really have staff around, and yeah. So I can kind of understand why he was going a little bit crazy a little bit. Shelley Duvall as Wendy. Um, yeah. I don't hate her in this movie. She's very not attractive at all. She's not. She's not attractive, and I don't. I don't know. I mean, her character's okay. She worries about her son and her husband. I mean, she's got a good heart. Um, and she tries to do the right thing. She tries to help, and that's there's really not much more depth to her character than that. Uh, Danny Lloyd, who's playing Danny Torrance in the film, Jack Nicholson's playing Jack Torrance, and Danny Lloyd's playing Danny Torrance. So not bad. But this kid fucking creeped the shit out of me. I watched this. I haven't watched it as much recently, but it's definitely one of those films that you can go back and revisit. And this kid just creeps me out every single time. He's all like his facial expression when he first sees the twins in that hallway. He's riding his bike and he turns around the corner, and he sees the twins, and then he's seeing like the flashback of death and blood and all kinds of shit, and his face is fucking. That's powerful. I mean, that's iconic to me. So yeah, I mean, you get other people in here like Scatman Carruthers, who's in this film, and he's pretty good in the film. He's kind of the guy who he meets he meets Danny, and he can tell that what they call the Shining. He can kind of see things and hear things that normal people wouldn't exactly see, and he says it's a gift. I have it too, and that's how I know about it. And let's talk about Danny a little bit. I kind of already talked about him for a minute, but I'm going to talk about him a little bit more. Um, he's got this guy who talks in his mouth and stuff, and he goes, you know, Danny's not here with us, Mrs. Torrance, and he's doing all kinds of fucking red rum, red rum, red rum, red rum, red rum. I mean, that's iconic. And of course, Jack Nicholson going crazy, going, Wendy, darling, light of my life, I'm not gonna hurt ya. You didn't let me finish. I'm not gonna hurt ya. I'm just gonna bash your brains in. Just bash them the fuck in. And, do you like to be interrupted? Never interrupt me. I mean, Jack Nicholson, probably, like I said, it's definitely my favorite Jack Nicholson performance. Let's talk about the directing. Visually, this film is stunning. It's got that it's a very, it takes place in the wintertime, and Stanley Kubrick does a phenomenal job giving you that very cold, wintry feel. I mean, I watch this movie and I feel cold. And, so, it's shot breathtakingly. Um, it does get a little boring here and there. There's a couple parts where it's kind of slowed down. Nothing's really happening. But I've always been interested, in the slower stuff where not much is going on. I mean, you start to feel like the characters. It's like, okay, we've been here for a while. There's really nothing to do. What can we do? What do you want to do today, SpongeBob? I don't know why I'm doing a Patrick impression for a horror movie, but hey, what the hell, right? So, The Shining. Would I recommend this film? Abso-fucking-lutely. If you like horror films and you've not seen The Shining, go check it out. It is my favorite Stephen King movie, which is funny because Stephen King hates this movie. Stephen King himself, this is the one film that he hates. The one film that's based on one of his books that he hates because it's not really an adaptation of the book. If you want a real adaptation of the book, go check out that TV movie called The Shining. That's more accurate with the book, but Stephen King hates this film, and it's my favorite Stephen King movie. So I think that's a little funny, but yeah. So guys, what would I give The Shining? A plus. Go check it out, and yeah, I mean that's really all I can say about this film. There's so many iconic scenes in here: the twins, the elevator coming out with the blood and everything. I'm not gonna spoil the ending for you. I mean, I could. It is Halloween Horror Month. This movie's been out since 1980, so I could spoil it, but I won't, just in case you've never seen The Shining. Obviously, the part where he's, little pigs, let me in. Not by the hair on your chinny chin chin. Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in. And he's chopping with the axe at the door where Wendy and Danny are trying to hide in the bathroom, and he chops through it, and he pokes his head in and goes, "Here's Johnny." I mean, Jack Nicholson at his best in this movie right here. A plus. Go check out The Shining. That's all I can say for today, and I'll see you guys in the next video.